Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Archival Adventures. I accidentally went live on both my personal channel and my work channel today and just decided to run with it. So I am currently monitoring 2 chats, one on VTUL Studios and one over on my channel, Rogan27. Orangitis, welcome. Adventures of Tony, welcome. VTUL Alice, thank you for being here to mod in the VTUL Studios channel. It would be lovely if you would also keep an eye on my channel, Rogan27, since I am live on both, and you're a mod over there as well. I see the words raid incoming, which is a little surprising. So those shenanigans will be appreciated when and if they happen. For a note on those watching on Rogan27, if you are not watching on the VTUL, or if you do not follow VTUL Studios and you find the content today interesting, normally this show will only be on VTUL Studios channel rather than on my own. And Eric, thank you for sending a raid of 58 people over to my channel for this show. Vampire Vaxeldan, thank you for the follow. And oh my gosh, Tony, thank you for the 10 Tier 1 gift subs. And you all are starting a hype train on my channel. For everyone who's just coming in, I am a relatively new streamer as far as my personal channel. My personal channel, I do, oh my god, level 4. So I will have to scroll back and give all those thanks in a minute. Oh my gosh. Oh dear. This is, so I went live on my channel by accident and decided to let it stand. Because this is my content. I do this show every week and you all are too much. Thank you, everybody. Oh my god, Eric. I'm gonna try and scroll back and find the beginning of all of this chaos. There will be a chaos emote coming at some point because that is a thing. So this all started because 16-bit Eric, the wonderful human that he is, decided to send a raid over to me. Oh my god, 310% of level 5? You all are absolutely bonkers. How? No, okay. I need to, I have to acknowledge my own chat rules. Okay, if anybody who's watching on my personal stream is at all interested in archives and seeing me share archival content, I am doing this show called Archival Adventures every Wednesday, starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the VTUL Studios channel. So I threw that info in, and we would appreciate it very much if you gave a follow to VTUL Studios. We also have a real play RPG role-playing show on Fridays every other week, and on the off weeks we show reruns, but those real play RPGs are based on works of literature. So we have done Alice in Wonderland, and we have done The Sheep Look Up by John Brunner, and we've done Winnie the Pooh, and we did Neil Gaiman's Sandman, and so those are going to continue to happen. We also have our behind-the-scenes show called Roll Call for the Role of Play, which is our RPG live play show. So yeah, if you're at all interested in the content from the channel, give a follow over to VTUL Studios, and we would very much appreciate that. Okay, so it's 16-bit Eric rated with a party of 58. Thank you so much. Vampire Paxel Dan, thank you for the follow. Adventures of Tony, 10 gift subs. Oh my gosh. Lord Portico, 5 gift subs. Garelphus, 100 bits. That started the hype train, and then Sincerius followed, and Wraith Faye did 500 bits. Thank you. Lord Portico, 1,000 bits. Bibliotech, 100 bits. Hermes, thank you for the follow. Death Star Taco for the follow. Be Right UK, 1,000 bits. Real Micah for the follow. RBH Mash for the follow. Geek Outs for the follow. And then Eric with a 10 tier 1 gift sub bomb. Thank you so much. Siri for the 100 bits. Annie Disaster, thank you for the follow. Rykar for the 300 bits. Adventures of Tony for 1,000 bits. DM Zundex for the follow. Adventures of Tony for 500 bits. Shadastro for the follow. GM Michael for the follow. Rel, the follow. Melba, 100 bits. Wow, that 15 subs and 5,200 bits in that hype train. Thank you so much. And then Badger of Storms, thank you for the follow. Thank you everybody who hopped on over to VTUL Studios and gave a follow over here. I see you, Chandra, Rykar, Geek Outs, Wraith, Faye, Lord Portico, Raining Rue, Be Right UK. Thank you all for the follows on VTUL Studios. Yes, so I'm gonna pull it together and thank you all so much. I'm gonna pull it together and actually advance with the show since this is only a 2-hour program and we are already 15 minutes in. I see more follows. GM Michael, Hannah, Real Micah, thank you all for following VTUL Studios. Siri, let me know if the music is too loud or if you can even hear the music. Let me know if for some reason the captions are not working. I think they should be, but I don't know. Music is not playing. Thank you, Alice. The music is on. Can you hear it? I just turned it up. Yes, Melba, it is great seeing Eric on top of the subboard. Music is not audible. Okay, let me check the face cam scene. I have audio inputs set. I don't know if it's just not working properly or what's going on. But I'm not going to let that stop the show. If we have a show with no music, then we have a show with no music. And you don't have the captions. All right, let me turn that off and turn that on. Why are the captions not working? Oh, lovely. Reload? Turn on. Are there captions? No. Why is the captioner not working? And amazingly, now we have problems, which you're all familiar with as streams. Audio input HDMI 4KB is activated, Alice. What's the input listed as on that computer? Which computer, Alice? On the streaming one? Oh, hang on. I may have done a thing. I'm gonna try. I don't know. Yep, the music is loud. Okay, I have the music working. Still working on the captions. All right, let's see, turn off, turn on. Why is the captioner not working? It was working before I went live, and now I'm frustrated and saddened. Oh, I turned the volume all the way down on that music. Yes, okay, well, anyway. There should be music at a low level now. I still have not figured out why the captions aren't working. I'm gonna try just completely leaving the site and restarting it and see if that makes any difference at all. Many windows to manage. Turn on, and I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know where the captions are. Microphone. Alice, if you have to have someone come in and help me with this, I would be okay with that. I'm wondering if it's because... Bye, Tony! From my stream, and welcome to the VT stream. The captions are supposed to be coming from the mic on the computer, and it doesn't seem to be working. I am going to go ahead and switch to a scene where you all can actually see some documents and not just my face, because I think that will be a little bit more entertaining. But I will continue trying to see if I can figure out these captions. So this is mainly what the stream is supposed to be, is me showing documents so that you all can see them. This is a folder. You can see actual labeling on it. I'm gonna zoom in this camera a little bit so we can look at the documents, but then I'm gonna have a few things to say to you, and I went too far. Zoom out, zoom out. I really need to figure out these captions. I feel horrible that they are not working. The music is still too loud. Okay. I have turned it down again. Send. The question. I don't know. It might be my face. Also, thank you for the follow, Badger of Storms and Picati. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm not sure how it is pronounced. Stream Closed Captioner is just wanting to be really weird. It should have... It's supposed to be pulling from the built-in microphone in the computer rather than from my lav mic, and it does not appear to be doing so. Otherwise, I would expect that captions would be functional. So that is a frustration. Is it because I'm trying to use it on 2 channels at the same time, maybe? Let's see. Leave there. Restart there. Anyway, I really want captions to work. Turn off or mute your mic when you don't want to have captions. I'm relatively new to Windows, so that is probably also part of the issue here. How do I check the microphone on Windows? I see voices, I see microphone. I'm running a check on the microphone. It says that it should be working. I'm just vamping while I try and solve the captions problem. Thank you everybody for coming. This, I feel like, is important and would very much like to have captions functional because the captions matter. So I don't know, and I cannot spend the entire stream doing it. You sent me a message. Checking now. We had this issue before. We got it to work, Tim Gray. Microphone allowed? Where do I give that instruction? Here, microphone allowed, default microphone array. It says the microphone is allowed on that page, Alice. I don't know. I'm really bummed out over the captioner not functioning properly. I see it's there, it's turned on, it's not captioning anything. I do not know. I'm gonna try one more thing, and then if I can't get it, I'm just gonna move on to actually move forward with the program, because if this doesn't fix it, I'm not sure what will. And it'll be troubleshooting for another time. Oh, it needs my little token here. There are a lot of moving parts and behind the scenes things. I also have the wonderful experience of my producer not being able to be on site at the moment. So I'm troubleshooting things myself, which is not unfamiliar to anybody who has ever streamed before. All right, I'm gonna do stream closed captioner, authorize, sign in, connect, turn on, allow. Is the captioner going to function? Okay, I have it working on 1. This is good. I think the issue is because I have it on, come on, It's because I have this stream up 2 places. I had 2 streams up. It was not, it didn't like that. The captioner didn't like that. But I have 2 computers here, so I'm just going with that. And I will have the captions functional on the V2L Studios stream in just a moment. So as I said, when everybody got here, all right, one second. I just want to see if captions are functioning. They are on my channel, but they seem to still not be working on the Studios channel. Yes, before you entirely derailed my train of thought. Why are they still not working here? I'm going to try one thing more. And see if this works. Manage stream. Captioner. Go. I'm inching closer. Turn on. Will you please work captions? Why? Why are they not working? That is bizarre now. Does that make a difference? I'm changing microphone inputs at this point, trying to see. I don't know. Alice, how do can I set this computer to pull the microphones that are above me for the captions? Well, since I am live on 2 channels and the captions are working on one of them and not on the other, I'm going to move on. If you need to watch with captions, please watch me on twitch.tv/Rogan27. I don't think we have any sort of shout-out commands on the V2L Studios channel, but it will be... If you need captions, please watch over at twitch.tv/Rogan27. The captions are working over there. And since I have them working in one of the 2 channels, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the program. So we're not just in tech troubleshooting the entire time. So I think that is a reasonable solution at this point. Okay, today on Archival Adventures, we are looking at the International Archive of Women in Architecture. They have what are called small collections, or we have some small collections. The Archive of Women in Architecture that we have here, I'm going to give a little background on that. I'm going to talk, then I'll talk a little bit about what the small collections are, how that is different. Most of the information I'm going to be telling you here in just a second is going to be from the Virginia Heritage website and from our finding aids, as well as from our special collections website. So that is spec.lib.vt.edu. So that is where I'm starting. And Alice, if you wouldn't mind throwing a link to the Special Collections website in for anybody who might be interested. We, in Special Collections and University Archives here at Virginia Tech, we have a collecting area that is the history of women and the built environment. So the way that we describe that on our site is building upon the strength of Virginia Tech's academic programs in engineering, design, and construction, special collections, and university archives aims to document the historic contributions of women to the built environment. Key to this effort is the International Archive of Women in Architecture, the founding initiative for this collecting area. So the International Archive of Women in Architecture collects archival manuscripts and organizational records that highlight the global contributions of women to the built environment. The IAWA illuminate the lives and legacies of women who pioneered the practice, teaching, or study of a design field in their country, managed independent firms or architectural practices, invented or innovated new materials, processes, and techniques, led or founded organizations, task forces, and committees that promote the interests of women professionals in architecture and design, created groundbreaking or challenging exhibits about the experiences of women in design fields, and advanced awareness of and advocated for women in these fields. So basically, we collect materials related to women working in the architecture field from around the world. The way that I've structured the program for Archival Adventures is I don't really know everything about these materials. The archivists who work with materials don't know everything about them. An archivist will sit down with them, they will look through materials that come in, they'll assess and decide whether we're going to accept something into the archives, and then process it to prepare it for people to be able to use. And that processing really just amounts to us making sure that it's in like folders like this, which are acid-free folders to help preserve it longer, do some basic description to help people find what's there, and that's about it. We do end up with people who are maybe more interested in a topic, who might become more knowledgeable about things. When I started working here, we had an archivist named Sam who was very conversant with the International Archive of Women in Architecture. She has since gone on to work on her PhD. And we have another archivist here, Jade, who is doing a lot of work with the International Archive of Women in Architecture. So if I had specific questions or needed a lot of detail about something, I might go to them. But there's no guarantee that they're going to know either. It's just they know more about architecture than I ever do, or ever will, because I don't spend a lot of time on architecture. So in pulling out a collection from IAWA, I am seeing it for the first time, kind of the way that anybody would if they were just going to come in off the street, pull out a collection, and start looking through it. So this is why these are adventures. This is discovery for me just as much as it is for any of you. So the International Archive of Women in Architecture, a little bit of history, was established in 1985 as a joint program of the College of Architecture and Urban Studies and the University Libraries at Virginia Tech. The purpose is to document the history of women's contributions to the built environment by collecting, preserving, and providing access to the records of women's architectural organizations and the professional papers of women architects, landscape architects, designers, architectural historians and critics, and urban planners. So it's about 2,000 cubic feet divided into about 450 collections. Has roughly 150 significant manuscript collections, which document the legacies of individual women architects, practices, organizations, and major exhibitions. Additional resources include approximately 300 smaller research and reference collections, which comprise biographical materials, previously published sources, and a small amount of published primary sources from many other women and women's associations. Features women from nearly 40 countries with materials written in at least 17 languages. And Alice, it looks like you might need to delete a message on the V2UL Studios channel. Thanks. So, The actual collections we're looking at today are referred to as the small collections. And I'm going to refer to the finding aid that is located on virginiaheritage.org. That's vaheritage.org. And that is a site that hosts all of the finding aids for cultural heritage institutions in Virginia and will, I believe, be expanding into West Virginia in the future. Finding aids are the documents that archivists and other cultural historians write to help you find what is in a collection. So I'm going to go to Virginia Heritage, I'm going to select Virginia Tech, Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University as the repository, and then I'm looking up the IAWA Small Collections Finding Aid, which is where I'll get information to just tell me a little bit more about the collections that we're going to be looking at. So, I'm coming down from being a little flustered with the enormous hype train at the start as well as the tech issues. So just trying to get back into the group. The IAWA Small Collections was compiled from a variety of sources by special collections staff for use in reference and research. The collection consists primarily of biographical materials for women architects, architectural historians, and designers, including curriculum vitae, firm brochures, exhibit notices, photographs and publications, drawings, sketches, course notes, correspondence, and other materials pertaining to architectural collections are also present. You are all welcome to ask questions on either channel about the things that I'm introducing to you. If you have questions about IAWA and what we collect, if you have questions about archival practice, I'm happy to answer those. If you have questions about the documents themselves, I can try to answer them, but I will be seeing these documents for the first time along with all of you. I do need a sip of water. Generally, we don't allow food and beverage near the collections. I have some water with me sitting in a sealed bottle on the floor. I'm going to lean over and take a drink from that, and I will be on screen again in just a second. Okay. So, the first collection that I have pulled out here, I believe you should be able to see. Mine is just not wanting to load the video, so I can't actually see very well what you can see, but this is IAWA Small Collections. Our collection number for it is Ms2009-054. That number means nothing to anybody outside of this organization. That is literally just a tracking number for us to be able to find the collection. Whoever was processing it decided that they wanted to be very artistic in the writing on the folder. This folder is labeled 1997 to 2001. Dr. Dendron Bowden Archer, biographical materials, articles, correspondence. It says there MS 2006-004. The small collections were all initially processed as individual collections, and then they were later combined into what we call the small collections. Generally, these collections are like a single folder of material, where we would have other collections that are 25 or 30 or even more, like banker's boxes of material, like moving boxes. I don't know if you can see, I'll pull in the cart. So a box like this, a lot of collections will be 25, 30, 100, like lots of boxes. These collections that are referred to as the small collections tend to just be like a single folder. So a lot of like difference and variation there as to what actually is in it. That the reason that they're organized as small collections is because we wanted them to be able to be easier to access and find, and not having to dig through our single folder collections, which we do have for other things, but with IAWA, they co-located them all together just for ease of use for the people researching the archival materials. So, the first one, I had the name there and I've already lost it because distract. Bowden Archer. Dendron Bowden Archer. I'm gonna see if we have any biographical material. Usually there's like a biographical note or some information about the collection. Just looking for it here. There we go. Bowden Archer, comma, Dendron. Biographical material, 1997 and undated. It's about 0.1 cubic feet, which is what we basically put anytime it's a single folder. So the scope and contents are described as Greek psychologist with an interest in dream healing within the framework of landscape and architecture. Collection includes a biographical sketch and a copy of an article that she wrote. So I'm going to go ahead and open the folder and actually show you some of this material now. Inside the folder, this is all that there is. This is everything. I'm going to zoom out because I realized that you can't really see. That's it. This is the entire collection for Dendron Bowden Archer. So the date on the material was 1997 and undated. So we have at least one item in here that we don't know when it is from. There was no date on the materials. Right? I don't know. My monitor, where I can actually see the stream, I can't see, so that's lovely today. But you should be able to see the pamphlet. ACA Greece campus lecturer. You can see there's a little like headshot of her. The item up in the corner, the crest. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit now that, oh. I have to get the hang of this document camera. This is only the third time I've ever used it. So sorry for the super zoom in and then the zoom back out. There's a photo of Dr. Dendron Bowden Archer, PhD, as well as a seal. The seal reads, Alumni Campus Abroad. Dr. Dendron Bowden Archer, PhD, Jungian psychologist, Dr. Dendron Bowden Archer, PhD, specializes in the interpretation of dreams and mythology and the technique of sand play, a silent therapy. She is deeply interested in dream healing as it was practiced at Epidaurus and other ancient sites 2,500 years ago. Dendron has established small healing centers in Baja California, Mexico, Switzerland, Hydra Island, and Athens, Greece. A member of the Sand Play Therapists of America, she was on the staff at Atsitsa, a holistic holiday community on the island of Skyros, where she served as DreamWorks sand play facilitator and resident psychologist. Her doctorates, one in metaphysics and the other in comparative religions, bring breadth and scope to her lectures. Currently, Dr. Bowden Archer is writing a book, Memoirs of Asclepios, a Divine Physician. Rainy Roo, I think this stuff is really interesting. I'm very fascinated by archives, which is why I ended up working in one. I'm going to zoom back out because the next document that is in here is very much larger. So this document is actually a photocopy of a newspaper article from the Hellenic Times, June 5th to 11th, 1997, by Dendron Bowden Archer, Jungian psychologist. So this is a newspaper article that Dr. Bowden Archer actually wrote, talking about what happens when you sleep. There's a couple photos. I'm not going to read the entire article because it's quite large, but this is not atypical to find in more 80s and 90s time period, even 70s time period, archival collections, to find like a photocopy of a newspaper. And actually, the photocopy is more stable as an archival object than the newsprint itself would be. Newsprint is very acidic and will deteriorate over time, and so you have to take extra steps to prepare it for preservation and to make it last. A photocopy of the newsprint preserves the content of the article without it necessarily being as acidic. This white paper, I don't know what kind of paper it was actually printed on. Copier paper can be acidic as well, but it's much, much less acidic than newsprint. But this, I want to actually share. The other item in here, the mention of Bowden Archer's book talked about the Temple of Asclepius, and I'm trying to see where the start of this is. It's a bifold document. Let's see. Alice, I remember processing things where the newsprint had degraded materials around them. Yes, that is not uncommon. I've definitely experienced that myself. Copy paper is glorious compared to newsprint, or construction paper. Construction paper is just as bad as newsprint. Construction paper will turn everything else it touches brown or yellow. It'll deteriorate it over time. It is, those two are just very, very acidic paper types. And so if something is actually on either of those materials and is very important to have to preserve, there are deacidification processes that can be done to remediate the acids in the paper and kind of remove them to sort of stabilize the object. They are very expensive. They're not something that we could do here. We would have to send it out to preservationists to have them process the material and deacidify the paper. But you never know what is going to be something that's really important and needs to be kept. Newspapers from 100 or 200 years ago were printed just like newspapers today. They're meant to be read and then tossed. They're not meant to be kept, except that people keep them because they're of a lot of historic worth. So this little bifold, I'm uncertain exactly where the beginning of it is. It's like 4 pages, and this kind of feels like it might be the front. This might be the front. I am uncertain, but the Sanctuary of Hippolytos and Asclepion for Dream Healing. This to me looks like it's part of either research or stuff that Bowden Archer was preparing related to their book about Asclepius. And so this is like copies of stuff, but also photocopy of like handwritten stuff. So I'm uncertain exactly where the material came from, whether it was research that Dr. Bowden Archer was doing, or product of that research. But you can see there's a diagram here of the Church of Virgin Mary Diocese of Trotzen. So you've got the design and stuff there, a little Greek illustration, stuff talking about the racecourse of Hippolytos and a nearby temple of Aphrodite Catascopia, spy, from which Phaedra secretly watched Hippolytos exercising. This temple was in the area now covered by the ruins of the Byzantine church of the Episcopi, dated by A.K. Orlandos to the 12th century. So this to me looks like actual research that Dr. Bowden Archer was doing. You can see there's underlining and bracketing. It seems to me that those were notations that she was making during her work in researching Asclepius. Here is a photograph, and it's labeled, handwritten label below it is therapy hall, beds, tables, columns, fire pits. So to me, this just seems like part of a research file from this psychologist, but of interest apparently to the topic of architecture, because her interest was in kind of the merging of architecture and psychology. Diagram of the sanctuary of Hippolytos and Asclepion for dream healing. So this, to me, very interesting. I had not expected the first collection that I pulled out to be a collection from a psychologist rather than an architect. Just it's the International Archive of Women in Architecture. I expected an architect. I'm going to pull another folder. All right. So next, I have a folder here. The handwriting on it is nowhere near as Art Deco as the last one. This one is for Martha Boldorf-Reichstatter. Martha Boldorf-Reichstatter. The material is in German, so I will be mispronouncing things and likely not know what much of it says, but we'll look at it anyway. And this just, the scope and content says, photocopy of article with information about Boldorf-Reichstatter in Steiner Sprechen, number 110, 2 pages, 1998. So again, we have a photocopy. For Milka Marcella, Milka Blizhnikoff is one of the founders of the International Archive of Women in Architecture. Her name comes up a lot in it, and from everything that I've been told, from my understanding, the International Archive of Women in Architecture would not exist without Milka Blizhnikoff. So I'm guessing the for Milka up here at the top is referring to her. So yes, this is in German. I cannot read German, but this is an article about Martha Boldorf-Reichstatter. Frau Professor Diplom Architekt Martha Boldorf-Reichstatter ist seit der Gründung im Jahre 1947. Yep, I tried. I took 1 semester of German in college, and it was a long time ago. If I took time and really dug through it, I could figure it out, especially with the help of Google Translate. I could figure out what it says. But for the stream, I'm just going to kind of showcase it. We have material in multiple languages here. We don't really have archivists here that speak a lot of languages. Often for IAWA, we will have student employees who come in, and the student employees that we get for IAWA typically do have some language proficiencies apart from English, and are able to help with description of materials like this that are not in English. We'll grab the next folder. Audrey Bryans. And this is actually labeled as folder 1 of 2. Let's see what this says here about Audrey Bryans. 1951 to 1952, 2001 to 2002, and 2008. Those are not dates of life. Those are the dates of the materials. Principal and president of Bryans and Associates Architects, Inc. of Panama City, Florida. Materials include 4 brochures, 1 describes her firm and includes a curriculum vitae, and 3 detail her designs. Also includes a 12-page memoir, Confessions of an Irreverent Iconoclast, written in 2002. We also have some materials for Audrey Bryans located online in the Virginia Tech image base, which, Alice, if you can throw a link to ImageBase in chat, that would be lovely. It should just be imagebase.lib.vt.edu, I think. You know, I'm going to visit and I will confirm before you throw it in. Yes, imagebase.lib.vt.edu. There are a number of materials there, digitized materials. It's not our main spot for housing digitized materials, but it was around before our Omeka site and before our digital space for special collections and university archives. So it still has some content that has not migrated over yet, and there should be architectural drawings and other things located there. So there is a novel here by Audrey Bryans called In Search of Blessings. I don't know if you can, there's a little bit of glare there. So yeah, In Search of Blessings, a novel by Audrey Bryans. Let's see what the back of the book says. Lee Goodnight, a gifted young woman from small-town America, recently graduated with a BA in architecture, arrives in 1956 New York City, intrepidly pursuing an historically male-dominated career. Her forward motion in a prestigious and intriguing job is interrupted by a seduction orchestrated by a lusty Jewish poet, also seeking recognition in the world. When pregnancy results from their brief but passionate liaison, her fruitless search for the poet lands her forsaken on an untenable island of anguish. She desperately enlists her father's help. Her unsympathetic mother's intervention requires her to be secreted away to a home for unwed mothers, where she is coerced into giving up the child for adoption, a secret she never divulges. Ensuing decades of exciting career moves, world travel and 2 marriages are marred by bouts of periodic postpartum blues and fruitless searches for the child. At age 34, he is located, thanks to computer networking, a radio program, and luck. 7 years of mutual affection and happiness are unfairly interrupted by jealousy, envy, and misunderstandings. So, a novel by the architect here. Thank you, Alice, for directing people to where they have captions today. I broke things. I had it set up because at one point in time I had thought, oh, I might just stream on both channels. And then I decided I wasn't going to do that. And then today, in our streaming device, I accidentally clicked start all instead of start, and it started both streams at the same time, and I was just like, sure. And I'm glad I did, because it has been lovely having people on both channels. Yeah, it's been lovely. All right. So here we've got a bound item. The Strand Luxury Beach Condos, Panama City Beach, Florida. Bonita Towers Incorporated developers. So this is, it looks like a proposal or a description of a property that was put together by her architectural firm. The Strand. Introduction. An offer to those fortunates with discriminating taste. Catering to the discerning public who needs a place to relax in their leisure hours and a place to indulge their senses with the latest refinements in luxury living. All units have 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, living room, dining area, and kitchen all have panorama of Gulf kitchen equipped with range, refrigerator with ice maker, microwave oven, dishwasher, disposal, and trash compactor. Abundant cupboard space. Covered terrace facing Gulf. Master bedroom also has Gulf vista. Sit-down vanity in dressing areas. Generous closet space, smoke detectors, ceramic tile floors in bathrooms. So it's a brochure, more basics. They've got Kohler brand fixtures, it looks like. This is pretty heavy paper. Amenities, this place had a health spa, a swimming pool, a video games room, grocery carts for owner's use, garages with remote control door openers, storage rooms on ground level for beach equipment. So, and then you've got the unit types, the actual unit layouts. So this is information that you would typically find today on like an apartment website where you're wanting to find out what amenities they have, what does the community offer, what do the floor plans look like. And that's essentially what this is, but put together by this architectural firm to describe a property that they worked on. And there are a couple of those in here. Here's another one of their architectural brochures. It's a little glossy. I'll flip the gloss out of the way. Bryans and Associates, Architects Incorporated. Architecture planning, art/graphics, landscape design, interiors, and photography. Oops. Trying not to jiggle the camera so much, but also this document camera doesn't really allow for me to turn pages on a document like this. Bryans and Associates Architects Incorporated. Audrey Bryans, AIA, President. AIA, I do not actually know what that stands for, but I can find out. I'm sure it's a certification in architecture. About. So AIA. I still have not figured out what the letters stand for, and I think that's because at this point in time they don't. They are just AIA. They are some sort of architectural professional organization. It's American Institute of Architects. So putting the professional affiliation there behind her name alongside she's the president of this architectural firm. And so there's a bio on her with an actual picture of her. This is, the paper itself is like a cream color, like a mocha cream color. I think you can see the color. It's not white. The paper, I also don't think it's aged to this color. I think this is the color that it was. So this doesn't appear to have been printed on white paper. It's this beige color. And then her picture is just black and white printed on there. Professional experience of 28 years, a Bachelor of Architecture from the University of Texas at Austin. Professional organizations, American Institute of Architects, Construction Specifications Institute, Texas Society of Landscape Architects, Florida Association of AIA, Bay County Council of Registered Architects. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but principal and president of the firm of Bryans and Associates Architects Incorporated. And then it talks a little bit about what they do. I actually think this is more of a bio or CV of the company. Than like an actual like brochure for a property like what we looked at a minute ago. Because this is describing the company's services and what they offer. We've got some blue pages in here. Oh, and some information here. It looks like on properties that they've done. The Albany Hilton Hotel. So this is a photograph of the model of the Albany Hilton Hotel. When I do the walkthrough of the archives, which we're gonna do, I haven't set a date for it yet, but we're working out the logistics of how to do a mobile stream. So when I do the walkthrough and go behind the scenes, we actually have some architectural models in the archives that are out on top of some of the map cases. And so if you're here for the stream when I do the walkthrough, you'll be able to see those. So this looks like a Holiday Inn in Dallas, North Dallas. There's another photo of the Hilton architectural model. Looks like a Bank of Austin building here. So some bona fides in this brochure to kind of sell the architectural firm to potential customers. Blue Gulf Corporation Land Development in Destin, Florida. So not just building a building, but laying out an entire like neighborhood or area. Wi-Fi can be iffy. Like this week would not have been a good time to do the mobile stream, Chandra, because the students are back and they just got back and the networks are still adjusting to the increased usage. So just walking through the building, my phone can't decide whether it's connected to the Wi-Fi or not. But yeah, I think this is pretty typical. This, I didn't see a date on it. The guide indicated dates for materials from this 51 and 52, 2001 to 2002, and 2008. I don't know. This does not seem like it fits any of those time periods very well. This to me says like 1970s, 1980s, maybe 1960s style of being able to actually take a photo, put it on a piece of paper, and then copy that on to make multiple copies of a book like this. That seems more like somewhere between the 60s and 80s level of photocopying technology. And I haven't seen a date in here. just gonna flip a few pages toward the end here because I do want to move on and see a few more. This is only the third one we've looked at. Yeah, there's no date on it, but with the plastic binder that's on here and the actual way that this type of photocopying was done, this feels more later than 50s. But it's an undated item, so I don't know exactly when it would be from. Oh, the resume portion. That is true. I can go back and look at that. It said 28 years of... Hi, just here for coffee. I saw you come in. Yeah, there's no dates on the bio area either. Although, no, there's some dates here. So, pardon me. Definitely after 1980. And I'm going to take another sip of water because I don't want to cough at you again. Yeah, so definitely after 1980. That's as close as we can get. I would say circa 1980s if I was talking about it as an item. But yeah, all we know is that sometime after 1980, or 1980 or after is when it was from. And then we have another one. This one, again, the plastic cover. That on the front is not a photograph. I'm going to try and zoom in just a little bit. That is actually an illustration. It is printed on photo paper. So it comes out looking like a photograph, but it's like an artistic rendering. It is a drawing that would be done by the architect. Fun fact, if you're not aware, art skills are useful for architecture. Knowing how to draw or being able to render things today, it would be being able to create graphics in a CAD system of some sort. That would be the skill set. Sorry, plugging in my phone. We're supposed to get winter weather, and I don't want my phone to die in case I need it on the way home. But yes, so today's skill set for it is very much CAD drawings, 3D rendering in a digital computer space. But at the time that this architect was working, it would have been hand drawing a lot of stuff. And with architecture, there's a lot of straight lines. You can use a straight edge and do that, but you still have to have the vision and the artistic skill to be able to make it come to life like this. This is a very realistic artistic style, and that takes skill. And then they just happen to print it on photo paper here, so it actually looks very much like a photograph. This is Cove Harbor, Phase 1, The Landing, in Panama City, Florida. Oh, but now I have to turn it this way and the camera's not going to like me as much. Again, this is another of the brochures where it's talking about a specific property, and we've got the list of amenities as well as layouts. That is a very long layout. It's very like long living space instead of the more kind of spread out rectangular style that we're used to in America. Oh, I completely missed it, but BBG 0005, thank you for the follow over on the Rogan 27 channel. We've got the Regatta 1 layout. So these are just basically like apartment layouts. Regatta 2, there's upper deck. All of these are very like nautical terminology referring to like cruise ships, I would assume, or trying to evoke that sailing culture. All of that wonderful Florida, get out on the water. This is the captain's quarters layout. This is the recreation club for the community. Proportional walls, a late architect friend would have approved. So just here for coffee, since I know that you got in late, what we're looking at today is materials from the International Archive of Women in Architecture, which is housed here at Special Collections and University Archives at Virginia Tech. So all of the materials that I'm showing off today are related to women who work in architecture or have done stuff that is related to architecture and would be of interest to people researching architecture. But it is specifically an archive to highlight and preserve the work of women in a traditionally male-dominated profession. And we have one here that's not bound. It looks like it was stapled at one point in time. Fun fact, very thorough archival processing will go through and remove metal staples because metal staples will rust over time just from the humidity in the air and will damage the paper and ultimately just aren't great to have. So very thorough archival processing will remove metal staples, will remove cellophane tape because cellophane tape is absolutely horrible after a couple decades. Rubber bands dry out and just become awful. So thorough archival processing will go through and remove those things. I keep referencing thorough archival processing because there is more material than archivists will ever manage to process. So there is a philosophy within archives that is referred to, or a method of practice that is referred to as more product, less process, in which case sometimes you'll go through and you'll get the description done and you'll get things so that people can use them, but you won't necessarily take the time to go through and pull every staple and remove all of the tape. And it's kind of a balance of workload versus thorough work to preserve the material. If it's very valuable material that is potentially going to be used a lot and just extremely valuable, you might take the time then to do full processing on it. But if it's something that it's a bunch of papers from somebody and these papers might not be the most important parts of that collection, you might do a little less processing on that in order to get it processed and available for people to use faster. It's just a balance, and there's not really a right or a wrong with it, just like many things, a kind of the unofficial motto of archiving is, it depends. And it all depends on context and circumstance. So here we have a medical center. It's next to the Westwood Retirement Village and the General Hospital. Not referring to the television show General Hospital. Ooh, it's a parking layout for a covered parking structure, or a covered parking. Just the illustration complete with like cars, which kind of gives you a sense of scale if you know how big cars are. Yeah, that would be really generous parking for today. but also they're needing to accommodate, like, these are like the big boat cars from the 70s, the ones that, like the big, ginormous sedans that, I don't know, when I was young, we referred to them as boats because they were so big. I don't know. I don't think they did. This to me looks like it is, it looks to me like this was done on a computer and printed. So it's possible that this is from a CAD program that had car, like pre-made cars that you could just lay out. I don't know, because I'm not sure what program it was done with, but it does look like it was printed on here. It's not a drawing direct on this paper. So I don't know if it's just a color copy of something that was done by hand or if it was done on a computer. I'm gonna move on. I want to show some more things, but like we're looking at this from a curiosity perspective. There's a lot of material in here. If you were researching this architect or any of the properties that her firm worked on, there's a lot of material to kind of go through, and you could spend a lot of time on just this one folder. And these are the small collections. The last thing in here is a bat mitzvah invitation. On the 4th of Adar in Oppenheimer Chapel. So it's from '99. Let's put these back in their folder. See what else we've got. I'm humming now. I'm being slightly picky because I have a lot of boxes here, and I don't know what's in any of the folders, but also we're going to eat up time looking at each one of them, so I was trying to get one that might be interesting at a glance. I really don't know. I wonder if I'm in an archive somewhere. Women aircraft mechanics in the military. It is possible. I don't know if that is an archive that exists, but could be. AIA stands for American Institute of Architects, so I think it was a way to show that she was a member. Yes. Yes. I'm not sure what you're referring to or why that's coming up now, but yeah, when I was looking it up before, that was just to figure out. I knew it was like a professional designation, but yeah, it was just to show that she was a member of that. So, I put the folder away, and the folder tells me who it is. Doris Cole. And so the archives, the architecture stuff is just one area that we collect in here, with Tony bringing up the possible topical areas for archives. We actually collect stuff on the American Civil War, the history of food and drink, including the history of the American cocktail, local and regional history for Montgomery County, Virginia, and the Appalachian South, the history of science and technology, and then university history for Virginia Tech. And so the first program that we did was speculative fiction stuff. The second program I pulled some an ephemera collection from the history of food and drink. Today we're doing International Archive of Women in Architecture, which is our history of women in the built environment collecting area. And next week, I believe, I don't remember. 1 second. Because it'd be lovely to tell you all what we're doing next time. And I made notes. I think I'm going History of Science and Technology next week. Change accounts. I think I'm the first person from Guam to scuba dive in Antarctica. If you have documentation or records or memories that you've written down, photographs, things like that, there's probably an archives somewhere that would be very interested in having documentation of that experience. Okay, what was I looking for? I'm experiencing what has been referred to as streamer brain, trying to pay attention to multiple things at once and doing poorly at all of it. Somewhere in here, I have a folder. And I wrote down what was coming up. But that does not mean that I know where it is or that I can find it. So yeah, I'm just gonna make an executive decision and move on from that so as not to waste y'all's time. Next week, I will be doing something from the History of Science and Technology area. I don't remember exactly what, but next week is the first week of Black History Month, so it will be something that is related to both Black history and the history of science and technology. And then after that, I believe I am pulling the Black Organizations Council materials for university history. And we'll take a look at stuff from the Virginia Tech Black Organizations Council. And somewhere in there, I've got local and regional history of the Appalachian South happening. Basically, for February, I'm going to be focusing on both Black history and continuing with the series of highlighting something from each of our different collecting areas. After that, we'll see. I have plenty of material, because as you see, I have barely scratched one box today, and we've seen some very interesting things. But I'm going to show off a little bit here for Doris Cole. We've also, we do not collect this. This is not one of our collecting areas, but we've talked a little bit about potentially exploring collecting stuff on the history of board games. Which I would very much be in favor of. I think it would be very interesting. We have to have some justification for why we collect certain things. Sometimes a collection will come about because somebody gives us a very large donation and we end up building a collecting area around it. Generally, we want our collecting areas to support the educational initiatives of Virginia Tech. So history of food and drink, there's a lot of farming and food science programs here at Virginia Tech that can draw upon the material from that collection. We have a wonderful architecture program here, which ties in with the archives, or the International Archive of Women in Architecture. That's the phrase. So generally, we want them to tie into educational programs. So there's work that goes into creating a new collecting area. Virginia Tech recently added areas, basically creating a very large graduate program related to computer science through the partnership with Amazon and their Northern Virginia campus. And so we're expanding our collecting in the kind of computer science area as well, and starting to get a lot of materials on the history of computer science. So I will show those off on stream eventually. They are really neat. I'm very excited that we have them. They have not been processed yet, and that won't necessarily keep me from showing them off, but I would like to at least start by showing you things that are fully processed rather than just accessioned. So Doris Cole, according to this, the materials include stuff from 1991 through 2004, 2006, as well as undated material. Doris was the president/director of the firm Cole and Goyette, Architects and Planners in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and a fellow of the American Institute of Architects, FAIA. The collection includes brochure packets from her firm and postcards showing her work, a signed copy of her 1973 book, From Tippy to Skyscraper, A History of Women in Architecture, and a copy of her new book, Candid Reflections, Letters from Women in Architecture, 1972 and 2004. The book is dated 2007. Are cataloged in Addison, which is a reference to our old library catalog system. So those books are no longer in the folder. They were pulled and actually put into the actual rare books collection. Basically, the rare books collection is books, and they are cataloged like books in a library and on the shelf rather than in folders. So let's see what we have here. This appears to be a CV from 2006. I am uncertain why a CV needs a birth date, but apparently Doris Cole, who is a fellow of the American Institute of Architects, lists her occupation as architect/writer, was born in 1938 in Chicago, and in 2006 lived in Concord, Massachusetts. You can see here Cole and Goyette, Architects and Planners, as well as Berizzi and Cole, where she was a partner. Looks like she was the architect for Building Programming and Design Review at MIT from 1973 to 1981. Worked, you can see a number of architecture firms where she worked. This collection has a metal paperclip. Generally, those get removed as well. So, recognitions for her: BSA/Island Alliance Honorable Mention Award from 2005, Boston Society of Architects Research Grant, so various awards and things. List of exhibitions. This is basically a CV. So if any of you are not familiar with the educational world and are not familiar with what a curriculum vitae is like, and you're only familiar with a resume, resumes tend to be 1 to 2 pages. Sometimes people will stretch it to 3. CV, curriculum vitae, can be many, many, many pages long because it lists everything. And the CV, for each year of work, it gets longer and longer. So if you've been working somewhere for or working as a professional for 20 years and you've got a 2-page CV, there's something wrong. Generally. But that's just because the curriculum vitae is supposed to list basically everything that you've done, and so they grow really fast. So here's actually one of the books that was mentioned. This one has not been removed and cataloged. This is from Tippy to Skyscraper, a history of women in architecture by Doris Cole. There's not a back of book description. Apparently this was dedicated, it's signed to Dr. Milka Blizhnikoff with best regards, Doris Cole, AIA, November 1988. So if you were here earlier, I did mention Dr. Milka Blizhnikoff, who, without whom the International Archive of Women in Architecture would not exist. Based on that this book is in there and signed to Milka, I assume this is one of the collections that she actually donated. So we have some postcards here. These are glossy, so y'all get to see the gloves. I did talk about this last time I streamed for Archival Adventures, but generally paper materials, we don't wear the gloves because they dull your sense of touch and it's easier to catch on a frayed corner and tear something. It's just less damaging long term to not wear them as long as your hands are clean. But for glossy stuff, like these glossy pictures, the oils on your hand can damage them, so that's when the gloves come out. So these are postcards. So Cole and Goyette, Architects and Planners. This is Memorial Hall Library in Andover, Massachusetts. And to most people, it just looks like a library. But to the architects who built it, this is a picture of their work. And I would assume that that is probably why it did mention in here postcards of her work in the description. Where is that? Postcards showing her work. So there it looks like we have a row of townhomes. And that is labeled as low-income family housing in Winchester, Massachusetts. For low-income housing, that actually looks really decent. And it basically looks like housing that you would see where I grew up, so. I think I would be willing to live there. Here we have a brick building. Let's see what it's called. Oh, let's see. The addition and renovation to the East Boston High School, designed by Cole and Goyette Architects and Planners Incorporated, received 2 prestigious awards. The 2001 Preservation Achievement Award from the Boston Preservation Alliance and the 2001 Preservation Award from the Massachusetts Historical Commission. So that's an addition to a high school. This one is going to be Clifford Marshall Elementary School in Quincy, Massachusetts. So, show off a few more of these. We are nearing the end of today's stream. We'll be rating someone in about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to see if it started snowing yet and try to get home. This is a BSA lecture series at the Boston Public Library. So there's an illustration there of the Boston Public Library. This one is an architectural rendering, East Boston High School. So this is the one that we saw the actual photograph of earlier. That's the architectural rendering of the one that won awards. Shouldn't snow for a bit. At least that's what it's saying on various weather sites. All I know is that the school sent out a note saying that snow emergency routes take effect at 5 p.m. So I'm hoping to head home well before the weather. Got some more postcards here. This one is Clifford Marshall Elementary School again. That looks like an actual architectural model for the elementary school. Here we have Beechwood Knoll School in Quincy, Massachusetts. An actual live photograph of that one. We have a private residence in Weston, Massachusetts. Just an interior view of, it looks like a sunroom in somebody's house. So these are all, the backs of them are all Coy & Goyette Architects and Planners Incorporated. So these are actual postcards that the architectural firm had made of their work. But this one appears to be for the architectural firm's 13th anniversary. Yeah, promotional postcards. With appreciation to our clients, educational clients, Boston Public Facilities, DCPO Massachusetts, Massport, Middlesex Community College, Page Academy, Quincy Public Schools, Randolph Public Schools, Springfield College, Springfield Department of Facilities Management, U.S. Air National Guard, Tennessee, University of Connecticut, Watertown Public Schools, and there's a lot of them. I'm not going to list all of them. 13 and still going. So they're all addressed to Milka Blishnikov, and they all have a short little note from Doris Cole. This one was, "Hope you have a fine Thanksgiving." Here we have the Fellow Medal for the American Institute of Architects. We are pleased to announce that Doris Cole, FAIA, was recently named a Fellow of the American Institute of Architects for her significant contributions to the architectural profession. And this looks like it's the last of the postcards. Boston City Hall Child Care Center. So inside City Hall, the Child Care Center. Ooh. Apparently, when this was sent in 1991, a postcard stamp was 19 cents. Actually, I don't know if that's a postcard stamp or just a regular stamp used on a postcard. I would have to take more time to look at that. Interesting that this is actually inside the collection, but we have a form from the International Archive of Women in Architecture. The IAWA Biographical File of Women in Architecture. Biography and Career Form. I've not seen this form before. I have a feeling this is from before my time, and I'm working with paper again, so I'm going to take the gloves off so that I don't accidentally tear anything by not being able to feel what I'm doing. Gives some basic biographical information. She was an architect and a writer/critic. Educated at Harvard University Graduate School of Design. Career from 1963 to the present, but I don't know when the present is because I don't know when this form was done yet. Her office was Colin Goyette, Architects and Planners. Some information on marital status, which is not necessarily something that we care too much about, except that oftentimes with archival collections we will do a little biographical sketch on somebody, so we want to know about if they're married, do they have kids, regardless of whether, like, this is not because this is an International Archive of Women in Architecture. We would want to know this information for anybody who we were having a collection about. So marital status, children, have they ever divorced, where did they live, where were they born, things like that help to give a short little biographical sketch about somebody to provide a little bit of context for the collection or to help people potentially locate other material about that person. Looks like this bio was taken in '95. Yeah, April of 1995 appears to be when this was from. I'm very curious. I would not have expected this form to actually be in the collection folder. I'm not sure why it is, because it's not really part of the collection. It's more part of our process. But here we have a brochure from Colin Goyette Architects. There's our little folders, as opposed to the one that we saw before that was the little plastic binders. We've got Doris Cole's card in the folder there. It's like a paperboard folder. It's kind of rough to the touch and tan in color. But inside of it, there's a little brochure and then a lot of loose pages. So we'll see how much we can get through here in the next 5 minutes or so. This is how you used to do your resumes at networking events. Colin Goyette Architects and Planners Incorporated, located in Cambridge, Massachusetts, was founded by Doris Cole, FAIA, and Harold Goyette, AIA, AICP, in 1981. The firm provides architectural planning and interior design services to both public and private clients, including individuals, corporations, and government agencies. Colin Goyette architectural services include building evaluation and design, agency reviews, construction documents, specifications, engineering coordination, cost estimating, and construction management. Planning services comprise facilities evaluation and programming, design criteria, site analysis, master planning, and project management. Colin Goyette provides interior design services that include space planning and design, finishes, furnishings, and equipment. Hannah, this has been kind of fascinating. Now I want to find a jewelry archive since jewelry repair / design is my chosen career. I am absolutely certain there's got to be one out there. I do not know of one off the top of my head. And I don't know where you're located, but yeah, I'm sure that there is an archives somewhere that, oh, you didn't have to tell me where you were. I'm sorry, Hannah. But yeah, I don't know where, I'm looking. There's a museum of jewelry. I don't know. If you don't find something, ping me in chat sometime, and I will see if I can find you an archive that focuses on the history of jewelry, because I'm sure there's got to be one out there. But yeah, so then they've got some photographs of the work that they've done. And this is literally just a like 3-page brochure here. And we finally have a photograph of Doris Cole, along with her partner for the firm, Harold Goyette, and their list of clients. Let's see, list of current projects. Cole and Goyette Architects and Planners, commercial, restaurant, and retail. So a photograph of a restaurant that they worked on. The restaurant is located in the Boston Design Center in Boston, Massachusetts. What was formerly 3,700 square feet of unfinished warehouse space was developed into areas for dining, food preparation, food display, and a deli counter. Pardon me. Oh, I needed that, like, I needed to have like a hydrate happen. Lots of talking today. But yeah, so some interesting like photography as well as descriptions of some projects that they worked on. And like I said, I think we looked at 3 collections today, maybe 4. And we have 2,500 square feet of this stuff, at least. We've got just hundreds and hundreds of collections of material in just the International Archive of Women in Architecture. And most of what we've looked at today is English material. And like I said, there are like, I'm gonna misquote numbers at you if I don't look at them. There's material here from nearly 40 countries and in at least 17 languages. So there's a lot of material, and while some of it is just 1 or 2 things, some of it, even in these small collections, there can be a good wealth of information. We learned a little bit about the careers of the few women that we looked at today. There's a lot more to cover, and I will definitely be revisiting the International Archive of Women in Architecture again in the future. There's no reason that I can't come back to it and share more material from this area and this collection. But that is going to be the end of today, and I'm going to coordinate a double raid since I'm streaming on 2 channels. And let me pull up here and see who we'll send over to today. Probably gonna go with educational rating again and send you all over to the Monterey Aquarium. So thank you all for joining me for an adventure as we looked through the International Archive of Women in Architecture materials. Come back next week for something from the History of Science and Technology collections. I will be live on the VTUL Studios channel at 2:30 p.m. Wednesday. I likely will not be double streaming again, but it was lovely to have you all come and join me on my channel, and then for a lot of you to come over and follow V2UL Studios channel. I'm gonna work on setting up this double raid, so hang out for a couple minutes and visit the Monterey Bay Aquarium, as they are today. Oh, what are they doing today? They have the open sea cam on today. So you get to see a lot of bubbles floating to the top of the screen. It's a super chill stream. There's some sea creatures down there in the open ocean. Have a great evening, and I hope to see you again here next week. I'm going to switch you all over to the stream ending screen and then set up that raid. Thank you all.
On my mind.